Hey, Melanie Ferguson here. I have created a content planner for creatives that's unique to content creators. It's a 52-week planning guide and calendar designed to help you manage your time, help you stay organized, consistent, and really just know what to do and when. From planning your content to making sure you're on track every single week, this planner allows you to focus on what matters most for your business. So, if you're looking for a way to keep all of your things organized, be able to be ahead of the game, and know exactly what to do and when, check it out at creativesonfirepodcast.com/planner. That's creativesonfirepodcast.com/planner. Well, hey, my friend. Welcome to Creatives on Fire, the go-to podcast for content creators looking to grow their audience as well as their income. I'm so excited you're here. I'm your host, Melanie Ferguson. Well, hey, my friends. I am so excited this week because I have a really, really dear friend. This is going to be Julie Oxendine. She has Julie's Wreath Boutique, and she is going to share with us how she does it all. Julie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. We are going to dive right in. She is actually a really, really busy, multifaceted mama of 4 over in Michigan. Burr, it's probably really cold where you are, huh?
Yeah, well, we're having a heat wave because it's like 35 degrees today. So that's a good day for us.
That's hilarious. Don't know what that's like to have the
Yeah.
heat wave be 30 something in Texas.
hmm
So,
Yeah.
all right. So she has been doing this online thing for about 9.5 years. Julie, tell us your little story from just getting started to where you are now.
Well, about 10 years ago, I've been married 31 years and God gave us two sets of kids. So we have two older kids and then we have two younger kids. And when the two younger ones were like baby and a toddler, we're just like any other family trying to make ends meet. And my husband would say, we need to start a business so we can lose money on it so that we can get that tax break. And I'm like, okay. So one day I was just on social media watching a family on YouTube, and the wife was making wreaths and selling them on Etsy. And I had just recently kind of gotten into making wreaths myself. And I was like, wow, I could do that. I never even thought about making a craft like a wreath and selling it on Etsy. So I sat at my kitchen table one day, 9.5 years ago, and came up with the name Julie's Wreath Boutique. Went and started a Facebook business page and asked my friends and family to start following me. And from that moment on, the wheels kind of took charge of my business. And that's kind of how I got started. Was my husband was just like, you should start a business. We'll lose money because surely you're not going to be successful in what you do. But I kind of blew that one right out of the water for him. But that's pretty much how we got started. And a friend of mine was putting together like a girlfriend's day out event. And she had all these marketers and marketing booths there. And it's like a fancy craft show, really. And so she messaged me the day I started my business and said, hey, I'll give you a spot. And so I took her up on it and I showed up at this event like 2 weeks later and I sold like $800 worth of wreaths. And so for this mama who had a toddler and a baby at home, and that was enormous for me because I thought somebody wanted to buy what I had to make. And that was just like a light bulb moment that went off. So that's kind of how it got started. But it wasn't until 3 months later I did our taxes, or I was doing the receipts and everything. And I had brought in $3,000 in that last quarter of 2015. And when I counted up all the receipts, I had spent $2,500 in supplies. And I was like, okay, I just only made $500 and worked so much because I was going to craft shows and just trying to fulfill some orders. But it wasn't until January that I just kind of prayed about it. And I said, Lord, if this business isn't going to change my family's life, I cannot do it. I cannot take the time away from my family. And it was that very day that my business started to thrive. And it just kind of took off. I ended up in a Facebook group. I had some posts that went viral. I had a blogger contact me and said, "Hey, can you show us how you did that sunflower wreath?" And I said, "Yes." And then my husband said, "You can't share that." And I said, "Yes, I can." So I did. And that went viral. Ended up on goodhousekeeping.com. It ended up in a magazine. It just kind of went from there. And I just had so many orders, and different people on Facebook were sharing it, and I was getting orders on my Etsy from it. So it was just I went from only making $500 that first year, which was only 3 months, to bringing in, I believe I did like $30,000 on Etsy. So it went way over my expectations.
That is so inspiring. What an amazing story. I love that. And so when you had started that Facebook page right out of the gate,
Mhm.
what what were you posting? Were you posting? Were you going live? There I don't think was live back then, but
Mm-mm.
what were you
No,
doing?
I had no idea what I was doing, quite honestly. For some reason, I had enough knowledge to look on the different social media platforms that I was on, like Pinterest and Instagram, to see if my name had been used, right? So that's kind of like one of the number one things I tell people is that you want to make sure that your name is the same on all the different platforms. So I just, asked people to follow me. I think I got about 100 friends that followed me. And really, that first year, I really didn't use Facebook to my advantage. It wasn't until like 2016, mid 2016 to 2017, that I kind of got into the social media aspect of it all and kind of decided to get serious about it. And that is what kind of turned me making rees into being a social media business coach, being on YouTube, doing things that I didn't think I was ever possible, to be quite honest.
So, but you started with Facebook and
Hmm.
Etsy
Yes.
as like a perfect little match.
Yeah.
How did you evolve and when did you decide to go into other platforms?
I didn't decide to go on YouTube until like, I want to say 2017. And it once I got on YouTube, I really didn't think I would be doing it every week, but I got monetized pretty quickly because of that original blog post, because I made a video for that sunflower wreath, and it actually looks like a sunflower. And when I started seeing that I was making money, it kind of became a little game for me in my mind. Oh, how much could I make next month? And then I just kept posting videos and just posting on my social medias and being consistent. And I just saw the return on that. It's just you have to be consistent in order to make it on social media.
That was what I was going to ask. Do you have any hacks for staying consistent?
Well, yes. For our Facebook specifically, Meta Business Suite is there for a reason. Okay. So Facebook doesn't spend all this money in these tools for you not to use them. So what I have done is I will go in and I will schedule things out for Facebook, and I will even schedule it out for Instagram as well. But what that does is that tells Facebook that you're going to show up every day at a certain time. And especially if you have a month, like 28 days in front of you, I think is what you can schedule out. It tells Facebook, number one, you're reliable. But here's the thing, we already have an uphill battle for a Facebook business page versus a profile versus a public Facebook group, because they know that we're wanting to sell things, right? So you really have to make sure your content is good content. And it doesn't, the number one mistake that I see with creative businesses on Facebook is every single post is about them selling a product, and it's crickets. You're not going to get anywhere if people feel like you're just trying to sell your stuff. So you have to engage with them. You have to give them a reason to want to see your page. You have to give them a reason to comment, to like, to share. And what people don't understand is that when you have engaging posts or reels or lives, people will comment and share that stuff, and then their friends see that. And then the algorithm in Facebook knows whether somebody likes craftiness. And if you are in that crafty field, like for instance, for me, it could be all kinds of different things. Facebook will start recommending you because number one, you have engaging posts. Number two, you're using their tools. And number three, you're showing up. So that's probably for Facebook specifically is my probably top three things to do. I'm trying to incorporate more lives on my social medias this year, but Reels have really probably powered my growth on Facebook because we're over 1 million followers on Facebook. Yeah.
Woohoo! That is something definitely to shout from the mountaintops. That's such an accomplishment.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
So now that you have evolved, you're on multiple platforms.
Mhm.
How have you been able to sustainably grow almost equally on all the platforms at once? Is it this scheduling hack or is there something else as far
Well,
as
yes. Yes. I don't really schedule things like on TikTok. And I don't really schedule things on Pinterest. But here's the thing, people get overwhelmed by the thought of social media. And what I tell my people, because now I'm a social media business coach and business coach, to be honest, is to reuse your content on all the different platforms and know what you can and cannot do on all the platforms. Because some platforms will say you can't go over a minute, or you can't use this music, or you can't leave a link. So you have to get around that. So you have to know about automations. You need to be able to understand that Instagram music and Facebook music doesn't play well together. And if you want to get paid for that content, you have to know what to do. And so one of the things that I do is I make one reel. Okay. I'm a crafter. So my big thing is I'm showing people how to make things, right? And so what I will do is I will edit that video on an editing app on my phone. I will save it. And so my voiceover for Facebook and Instagram will look very different than my voiceover with TikTok. Because on Facebook and Instagram, I can use an automation from a place called ManyChat and say, comment Amazon 42, and I'll send you the info to watch the full video on that platform. So you just have to know what platforms will allow what. It's really important. And so when you can only make one video, but you can share it on 4 or 5 platforms, that's a better use of your time. And then what I would tell you to do is don't post and then think that that's the only time you can use that content. I keep posting the same heart video. It's just me taking a heart wreath from Dollar Tree, some yarn from Hobby Lobby. I make the wreath and it goes viral on TikTok, on Facebook every single year. And so it's old video from like 4 years ago, but I'm still making money on it because Facebook's paying me, TikTok's paying me, Instagram's paying me, YouTube is paying me. So you just have to remember to work smarter, not harder.
I love that tip. And when you are reusing things from years past,
Mm.
are you changing the voiceover at all or just the music behind it?
Both. Sometimes I don't have to, but it's always good to kind of change it up so that, for instance, TikTok might say, "Oh, this is new content. This isn't old content." So it's really good to try to kind of give it a little fresher take on it. Like for instance, I have TikToks that I didn't have automation with ManyChat a few years ago, but now I do. So I needed to redo those voiceovers, and so having that video content without the logo of TikTok, because you don't want TikTok's logo over on Facebook and you don't want Instagram's logo over on TikTok because they all are jealous, right? So being able to have that content saved on your device because you edit it into an app and to be able to reuse is just really, really useful and helpful.
What these are you're just like pouring out such good stuff. I love it. So I hope
Thanks.
everybody's got their pens available and you're not out and about doing stuff. If you are, pause this and get somewhere where you can take some notes because Julie is just full of really, really good insights. So when you started popping off and going viral, got into Good Housekeeping, opened up other
Mhm.
platforms and everything, When did you decide this is something I'm going to need some help with? And when did you hire your first person and what was that hire for?
Okay. Oh, that's a good question. I got about, I want to say 5 years into what I was doing, and I would hire a little bit of help here and there. Mostly it was help. I think the first person I hired was help to come into the home and just help me. And sometimes I would have her help cut the mesh and help assemble some of the wreaths. And when I took orders, I don't take orders anymore. I haven't taken orders for at least 4 years now. So everything I make is totally on social media and with my groups. Because what I kind of got into about 18 months to 2 years into it, I really felt like there was a ceiling. If all I did was sell a physical product that I had to make myself, I was only going to make so much money. And I really wanted to kind of break that ceiling. So the first thing that I did, even though I had somebody helping me within the home and helping me within kind of doing the behind the scenes, I would ultimately put the wreath together, but it was all the little stuff that you hate to do, right? I ended up taking some of my ideas, turning them into video tutorials and selling the digital product. And then after about a year or two of that, I was always having people ask me, Julie, when are you going to start a group? When are you going to start a group? And so that was probably, I want to say 2019 was the first year, or 2018 was the first year that I hired somebody to help the group process start. And because you can't do everything on your own, it's just impossible. So I was able to help somebody to help me with my emails and my marketing, and have somebody else that kind of managed the different projects. And then I have somebody else that helps me with my Pinterest. And so, and then we opened up Julie's Biz Boutique and Julie's Crafting Boutique, which are subscription groups. And I needed a community manager for that. So it was just kind of a process as we were going through everything. But it's been really good. I don't have to make a wreath and sell a wreath to make money anymore.
That's
So,
awesome. I love that. And definitely, if you are in the trenches and you're listening to this and you are just maybe a little bit tired,
mhm,
this is gold. And just
mhm,
kind of follow what Julie's saying and work a little smarter instead of so much harder. Let me ask you, speaking of email and hiring someone to
mhm.
help you with that, how did you grow your email directly from social media? Any tips on growing it?
Yes, that my email list is one of the biggest regrets that I didn't start sooner. So when people are in Julie's Biz Boutique, that's one of the things I push really, really hard because we don't own any of our social medias, right? I mean, we are on there, we get the privilege to do it. You got to play by their rules because it's their playground. But when you build an email list, that's yours. So if you lose your page, you lose a platform, you can contact them and then you can say, hey, I'm still here, right? So, one of the ways that we did that was, of course, you can always give them a free opt in. So, for me, I have several, like I just talked about, digital tutorial videos that are not on YouTube, that are special videos that I created. And so, one of the things is to opt in on my website, you get a free tutorial. I was just literally okaying a new tutorial thing before we got on here today. That's so funny that you asked that. But another really helpful tip is this. I have a friend who's in the children's boutique line and she designs and makes clothes and she's absolutely brilliant. And one of the ways that she told me that she grew her list was giving things away. And that might look different for each business. It might be a coupon code. It might be a free training. It could be so many different things. It depends on what it is that you do. Well, here was my problem. I was not selling my wreaths anymore. And but I still make wreaths every single week on YouTube. So I have actual wreaths just sitting around that I really don't want to have to deal with boxing up and dealing with the sales tax and all that. So what I did is we started doing giveaways, but it was only through the email list. And so what we would do, and don't quote me on this, it would be like a Google Doc or something, I'm not sure, or form. I think it was Google Forms. Again, I didn't put this together. My team put this together. I can make things look pretty, right? But they would send out an email with this form that people would just literally put their address in, their email, and their name and ask like an odd question just so that we know they're not a bot. And we don't use those addresses for anything other than to ship the wreath to you. So that really blew up my email list in a way that was really super helpful. And we're still using that concept, but that's just an easy thing. Again, it doesn't have to be a physical product. I pay for the shipping to the person because I can. But if you have a great digital product to offer, that's just a really good way. And it gives them a reason to open it up, to know that if you get an email from Julie, you need to open it up because there might be a giveaway chance in there.
Oh my gosh. So that's how you announce the winner is also through email.
Through email, yes. Because I have too many people trying to pretend to be me on social media and scam people. And so we just tell our people, listen, we're not going to do it on our social medias. We're going to do it in our email list.
That is brilliant. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, Julie, let me
Mhm.
ask you this
Mhm.
reflective type question. What's some advice for someone who's just getting started? Like, what could you share that you could say that you would like to have told yourself when you were just getting started?
That you can do it, that you're not just, I think so many times when you're a stay at home mom and you're in the trenches with the littles, you don't think that you can really build a business or something that would take, literally, it overtook my husband's job. He doesn't work outside of the home anymore. And it's all because of my business. So if you would have asked me 10 years ago, Julie, you're going to be on YouTube, you're going to have over 2 million followers on all your platforms. You're going to be a social media business coach. You're going to help entrepreneurs, creatives work and figure things out faster than you did because I didn't have any of that help until a few years after because I got in a coaching group then. But it is possible. If you would have told me, Julie, you're going to have that 100,000 subscriber play button. Yeah. And your kids' friends are going to think you're super cool. I would have said that there's no way. If you would have said 10 years ago, Julie, you're going to work with Hobby Lobby, you're going to work with Amazon, you're going to work with Cricket, I would have said you're just out of your mind. But honestly, all things are possible through him. And I give the Lord the glory for that.
I agree. That is such a beautiful testimony. So, speaking of, we didn't hit on brands, and
Hmm.
you do work with some amazing brands.
Yes.
Someone wanted to get their foot in the door. What would be your best advice?
Okay, so the first advice I would have with that is you have to have a social media platform that gets the attention of these brands. You can't say, oh, I have 10,000 followers on a certain platform and Hobby Lobby doesn't really, they're not going to come knocking necessarily. But if you have a really good engagement I've seen they work with people that have really good engagement and they maybe only have 100,000 followers on Instagram and this goes across the platform for a lot of them, but you have to work it on social media. And if you don't work your social media platforms, if you don't put out good quality content, that's kind of your calling card. So if you want to work with a brand, that's where I would start.
I love that tip. So, basically, succeed first with growing the
Hmm.
audience that knows, likes, and trusts you. And then, of course,
Hmm.
a brand wants to get in front of that because
Right. Oh, yeah.
you've done all the heavy lifting.
I think you'd be surprised how many brands are just scrolling social media to find people like you. But if you're not on social media, if you're not consistent, if you're not posting, if you're not putting out quality content, you're not going to get the knock at the door. Right. So it's just really super important.
And I
It
love that
really is the key.
the
Yeah.
calling card idea. It's like your
Mhm.
business card now.
It
Is
is. Your social media it's your social proof. It's proof that your brand is reliable. And so it's just really important.
mhm. So, speaking of, where can we find you online?
Well, I'm Julie's Wreath Boutique on, let's see, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and TikTok. I also have Julie's Biz Boutique where we give trainings every single week on everything you would think for a creative business. We do trainings. and also on social media. And then we have Julie's Crafting Boutique, and it's all under julieswreathboutique.com. You can find everything there. But Julie's Crafting Boutique is a different experience. A lot of people just want to craft with me, and we take our time. We go a little bit slower, not the 12-minute video on YouTube, but that's also another subscription group that is really fun. And I love to be in that one too.
That is awesome. So you can do it. That is Julie's advice. You
Yes.
too can have multiple platform success, multiple memberships, multiple forms of revenue. I appreciate you so much for coming on, my friend.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you. I love being here.
it was fun. It was fun. So stay
Yes.
warm.
Yes, we will. All
All right. We'll see you soon.
right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, my friend, for tuning in each and every week. If you learned something new or were inspired from today's episode, I would be incredibly grateful if you would take a minute and just leave a review. Bonus points if you share this episode by screenshotting it and tagging me on social at Creatives on Fire Podcast. I'll share you in my stories when you do. In the meantime, keep rocking your business, and don't forget, no one else will ever be you, and that is your creative superpower.